Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Lindsay McGrath, and I'm a Communications and Events Specialist in the Office of Alumni Relations and Development. I'm thrilled to be joined by two incredible leaders, Athletic Director Kristin Hughes and Head Basketball Coach Lynn Hersey, who's fresh off of an amazing season. But the excitement doesn't stop there. Smith Athletics is building serious momentum across all of our teams, and it's something really special to witness. When we first spoke to Kristin about this event, what really resonated was her vision about the broader impact that a strong athletics program can have. It's about connection, community, and a sense of belonging that can come from shared experiences, whether you're on the court, in the stands, or watching from across the country or globe. We're lucky to be joined by two current Smithies, Jasmine Washington and Salam Meyer of the basketball team, who will share how sports have shaped their time at Smith and beyond. And personally, as a parent of three young kids myself, I'm especially excited to hear more about how we can support and encourage the next generation, whether they become athletes or simply find joy in movement and teamwork. I'm going to turn it over to you, Kristin, and thank you so much for being here.
Great. Thanks, Lindsay, and thanks, everybody. We are really fortunate and just grateful that all of you have chosen to spend some time with us today. I think, we kind of stay in our corner of the campus a lot and realize daily and see daily the transformative power of what athletics can do for a student athlete, but also for the rest of the campus. So we're kind of excited to share what this journey has been like over the last certainly few years and where we're heading. But let me just jump in and sort of give you some of the context for us today. I think one of the first slides I was going to share with you was a picture of Caitlin Clark. And I would imagine that most people that are here on this webinar today have heard that name. And I think what Caitlin Clark has done, not just for women's basketball, but for women's athletics and women athletes in general, really speaks to what is happening more locally, just on our own campus. I saw an Instagram post a couple days ago that listed the top 5 athletes that are being followed on Instagram throughout March Madness. And the first 4 were all women's basketball players from Division I institutions. The 5th one was Cooper Flagg from Duke. And so, again, I think it really speaks to the impact that success at a high level can really have on young girls, but again, on women in general. The common denominator to all of this is winning. And I really believe it starts with that, because when you win, people pay attention to you and they notice. And the great news is, and what has really changed for us on the Smith campus, is that we have started to win. We have won a NEWMAC conference championship every year or every season since last winter. And I'm hoping we're going to be saying the same thing this spring to keep that streak going. I could list off for you the number of school records that have been broken by many of our teams. Volleyball and rowing, not only winning their conference championships, but going to NCAAs for the first time in over 2 decades. There are some huge strides happening. And then certainly, the reason we've got Lynn on the call with us and 2 of her best players in the program is they just won their fifth consecutive conference championship. They just went to their 3rd Final Four in their back-to-back national title game. That is unheard of in any sport across any division. And it's an incredibly special time to be a part of what is happening within that program. And really, they have set a bar of expectation within our department that has lifted everyone up. Everybody wants to feel the way you feel when you are part of this basketball program. And so it's a huge lift across our campus. I think that our overall goal in athletics is to provide this really elite level of athletic experience if you are a female athlete. Not if you go to a women's college, not for Division III. We want you to be the best athlete, be a really strong student, and think, and this is the place I need to be coming. Smith College is doing it better than anybody, and that really is the mission. So that is sort of all of the what in terms of what is happening, right? And what gets us to be in a position like today where we can sit here and share kind of this experience. But really, it is all about the why. And as much as we love to raise banners and get championship trophies, it's not really what this mission is. We know that when student athletes come in and they do something at a really high level of expectation and they succeed, what that level of success does for their self-confidence is incredibly impactful. There is so much research that directly ties strong leadership to a strong athletic experience. And those strong leadership qualities are going to be what is really going to propel them once they leave campus. So we lean in a lot on what not just participating in a sport should look like, but the way you participate, what your mindset is every day. This isn't about ignoring problems or ignoring struggles. I think we all believe that the struggle is absolutely required in order to get the success. And we are not going to ignore the fact that there are going to be challenges. Maybe they're academic, maybe they are global challenges. It's not about ignoring them, but it's about building skills that let our people overcome them and work through them. And there's a huge difference in that. And this is why what we're doing really is so transformative in our corner of the campus. So the other piece that I think is incredibly important is that all of the research that is being done around leadership and athletic experience is also consistent across all genders, all racial and ethnic groups. So you talk about an experience that our student athletes get to have every day. They get to practice these skills of resilience, of bringing a strong work ethic, of handling adversity, of working with others, all the things that are really just going to make them incredible individuals as they leave our campus. The other thing that it does, and what we've really seen a shift in, is it gives our student athletes a voice on the national stage. So the last 2 years at the NCAA convention, we've been fortunate to take anywhere from 4 to 6 student athletes with us to speak to the entire division of Division III about, what are the issues that they want to be talking about? What are the things that are important to them? 10 years ago, we weren't doing that. We did not have that voice. We didn't have the interest. That has completely shifted. And so watching those student athletes and the confidence they bring to that level, you can't imagine how proud I am when we've got someone from Smith standing up at a microphone to address the association. So that's another reason why, again, this experience is so important. We know through research that student athletes, again, with a high level of self-confidence and success, are the people who are going to be able to find their voice in a classroom to speak up. They're going to be the people who are going to be able to go to their boss, ask for a raise. They're going to be the people who have the strength and the bravery it takes to leave a bad relationship. All those things, right, are just some examples of why, again, this experience is so important. The final piece I'll say, and then I'm going to turn it over to Lynn to talk in a little more detail about the specifics on our campus. But what has been so rewarding as an athletic director at Smith is to see how there is such a campus identity and a connection through athletics. When we play basketball games, and this started probably 4 years ago, and I look out my window and there is a line of people wrapped around Ainsworth trying to get into the gym. When all of our games are sold out, when I look in the stands, and I do wish I had this slide deck to show you because there's this great picture, and it's got like half our student body. And I would say like some athletes from other teams, but also some students that probably only walk into Ainsworth for a game. And I think that is great. We've got little girls sitting with their grandparents, sitting with faculty members, sitting with community members. And that mix of people and all of them engage at that level, that is really special. And that is not happening everywhere. And that is a game day experience that we have just become really spoiled, but accustomed to. But if you think in this day and age that a campus doesn't need to have a place where they can connect and have identity, then you're missing the story. And so on a Saturday afternoon or on a Wednesday night, if our campus can come together that way, I think that is incredibly powerful and part of the reason why at many places athletics can really be a front porch to a campus. I will circle back to where I started though. That comes from winning. If our basketball team, to be quite honest, is under 500, that's not happening, right? So, we don't shy away from the winning piece. And I think Lynn's going to get into this a lot more. We really talk about it. We think that it is a disservice if we don't have that level of expectation for all of our student athletes. Because when you are able to do that and have a level of achievement and reach those expectations, all the skills that come out of that are going to impact you for the rest of your life. So I'm going to turn it over to Lynn to talk a little bit more in detail about some of the things that we've been doing on our campus. And then after that, we're going to jump into questions and put Jazzy and Salam on the hot seat a little bit. So, Coach, you're up.
All right, thanks, Kristin. Certainly just a privilege to be here today. I want to start with that in terms of I look to my little window to the left and my little window to the right. And, I've got Kristin, one of the best ADs in the country, who really elevates each and every one of us in a very different way. As you can tell, she's quite a motivator, sets the bar really high, and certainly just has tremendous follow through in everything she has a vision for. And it's really, really powerful to go to work every day and be by someone's side that really has that type of push for excellence in everything. And then I look at my two players there, Jazzy and Salam, and I think about those who have choices every single day. And their choices lead to different outcomes for themselves and for those around them. And I am just filled with tremendous gratitude to them that they have chosen Smith and that they've chosen to make Smith the best it can be from their world and their lens, right? And when you surround yourself with the type of individuals such as Kristin, Salam, and Jazzy, a lot of good things can happen. So I think I'll first start with that. I'll jump right to, it was a great basketball season for us again this year. Certainly the goal is to bring home that national championship. We're the birthplace. We have a lot of pride in being the birthplace. We think about the birthplace and how the history impacts today. And, for me, I love digging into the history. I was talking to an alum from 1956, and she was telling me about having, the great Carol Newhoff as her coach and Dorothy Ainsworth being in the gym every day. And she was on a team that was undefeated for 4 years. And I think about the sport in 1956. And then I think about it today. And I think about, sort of how the game has evolved, how women have had more opportunities to really be their authentic selves and to, challenge themselves in a much different way. But we need the history to have the perspective today on where we can strive toward and how we represent the groups that came before us. So I think that's a really important point in terms of being the birthplace and the responsibility that we have here at Smith in upholding that history and really striving to put Smith on the very, very top. So we'll keep working on that for sure. And the next thing too is, I think that we pride ourselves in being different at Smith, right? We're not going to be like every other school. And that's also an active choice. It's a choice that I take a lot of pride in. It's a mindset of those who are associated with our program. But our goal here is to be, the number one place to get a top level education, to be a part of a community that is absolutely genuine in its support and its belief in you, and to have responsibilities that extend far from putting a ball in the hoop and trying to win basketball games. It's about how we elevate those around us and in what ways can we reach different groups while we're doing what we're doing, and bring them into our experience and hopefully have a voice in terms of their growth and development as well. So I think, what we try to do is do it all. We're not focused on one part of the experience. I think it's very short-sighted to be that way. I think it's possible to do a lot of really great things at a high level all at once. And I commend our team. We're in the national championship game 2 years in a row, and our team GPA is around a 3.7 cumulative. So the academics and the athletics enhance each other. It's not one over the other. And then I think about, so the reach of our program this year and our ability to be able to impact the community and the generations below us. And why not do it all? And why not be leading from the front, right, in Division III? Why not have others see what we do and want to become like us? That is where our mindset is, and that's where it will continue to be. Because ultimately, I believe that's what Smith College is about, and it always has been. And it's a mindset of being part of that culture and that community, understanding the history, but also pushing forward to like what the future could look like, and how we all have a role in elevating it to that next level. And so it's exciting, it's motivating, it's energizing. And it's really fun to do with a group of people who believe in the same thing. And so I think in our basketball program and across the athletic department, that is where we are in our daily approach. It is certainly far more than just one single competition and trying to be the best in that particular moment. But it's about growing our reach, our brand, our ability to be proud of who we are, and the name we wear on our chest, and to go out and every opportunity we can get to be able to bring people in and hopefully elevate people up. So we have a couple sort of groups that we associate with both in our athletic department. And I'll start with our Be Bold program, which has been intact for the leadership program in the athletic department, that we evolved probably 10 years ago. And the idea with this Be Bold program was to bring real life stories of leadership to our student athletes and to have them really sit in the stories of these phenomenal individuals who have, just overcome adversity or set goals extremely high in their careers and have had to pivot back and forth and had to sit in the struggle of like getting to where they are today. But great stories of success and follow through, and how their student athlete experience helped them to gain the confidence and the sort of the charisma to be a forward-facing leader. And this has been something our athletic department has just really worked really hard to evolve. We've had some unbelievable Be Bold guests over the years. A lot of them are our own alums at Smith, because our students really, really love to hear from those who have, sort of walked the pathways of Smith and certainly now are in different areas of the country doing amazing things. So it's been just a real pleasure to kind of challenge what we see as leadership, right? And I think, our big premise is intellect is a really important part of being a leader, right? There are a lot of things that build your intellect, a lot of parts of Smith that will help foster that for you, but it needs to be paired with a boldness, ability to take risk, an ability to believe in yourself and to own what you're good at and to hold those values and those things really close to you. And then to challenge yourself and to be willing to pivot quickly. And my favorite part of bringing these speakers on campus is that we get to sit in their pivots, their big life pivots. They could have gone this way with one career, but then they quickly parallel and go a different way, and they find, incredible success in a road maybe less traveled. But they were bold enough to kind of make that move because that's in their heart of hearts where they felt they needed to go. So that's it. I think living in the stories for the student athletes is really powerful. It shows them pathways that others have taken that they can then transfer into their own worlds and be able to take bits of what they learn from these speakers and apply it. So that's our Be Bold leadership program. Another program we have a really just a big spot in our hearts for is the Project Coach program. And this is a partnership between Smith College in the Springfield Public Schools. And ultimately, it's an incredible like educational initiative that Smith has taken on that we partner with. And the premise of the program is that there are the teen-aged group in the Springfield Public School system. They are taught how to become coaches and mentors through sport-based life skills. And they then, after school, provide this free program to the elementary school children in the Springfield Public School District. And how Smith influences this program is that both our Smith staff, our graduate students, our undergraduate students, we all come together and we help to mentor that teen population. And it can come in a lot of different ways and sort of avenues of leadership. Each team does a project with Project Coach. So we have just a great relationship with them. But it can extend from, teaching communication skills to taking the women of the Project Coach program and having our women really work one-on-one with building confidence and self-esteem in them, to transferable skills of how you teach each sport in the game and how you motivate and how you inspire and how you, sort of learn to be a part of a team, right? And it's such a giving relationship. I mean, I think our student athletes love the ability to be a part of this community, the Springfield community. But, we're learning a lot from them as well. I think there's a lot of opportunity for joint growth, and that's what we aim to do in that program. And then the third program I'd love to share, well, we have another subside. It's just every year there's a National Girls and Women's Sports Day at Smith. And that's a national, all colleges, pro leagues, sort of highlight just, a day to celebrate girls in sport. And obviously, being the college that we are, I think we take a lot of pride in this event as well. Every team's participating. It is one of my greatest joys to walk down to the ITT and see all of our sport teams there with 150 little girls. And they're all learning the various, sports, gaining access to them. They're with their friends, they're laughing, they're smiling. Our players are exceptional with them across the board, teaching them the skills, and the interaction that is happening there is an absolute gift. It is certainly something that, at Smith, we really want to provide one of the best experiences in the country on that day. And our admin team really takes hold of this and just does an incredible job creating a great connection between our community and our sports teams. So that's another great program that we really look forward to every year. Lastly, I just want to talk very briefly about a new program we brought into our basketball program this year, and it's called our Playmakers Club. And this just really developed after we lost the national championship game last year. And we were sort of sitting in the office and, thinking to ourselves, okay, now we got to gear up and we got to do this all over again. We got to taste this national championship, and, we've got to figure out a way to get back there and give this another go. And now as we're thinking about the recruiting and the strategy and the scouts and all these other things, it just felt like something was missing, right? That we could be doing a little bit more to challenge ourselves. We could be doing a little bit more to elevate Smith and the community and to find a way to continue to grow relationships, both in terms of our players and those who came out to support us throughout our journey last year. So kind of put our heads together in the office and we came up with this Playmakers Club. And it's a club open to little girls K through 8. And we decided to provide about 8 events, all free of charge. And they ranged from really fun things for the Playmakers, including a make your own jersey day. So we bought supplies and before one of our home games. We met all of the playmakers out on the mezz, and they designed, their favorite jersey from one of our players. So a lot of them were definitely Jasmine up there. And, and they wore their own decorative Smith jersey to the game. And then we had other events like having them play at halftime. We provided a couple free basketball clinics throughout the year where we taught skill, we taught leadership. We had a leadership session. We taught plyometrics and, sort of the basic fundamentals of taking care of your body. And we just really had a lot of fun with them. And then we went a little deeper, right? Because everybody does clinics. We want to go a little bolder with what we were thinking. And we ended up bringing in a clinic where we really dove into sort of the self-confidence aspect for little girls and how we as a team could be a positive influence on their growth in that way. So we created these vision boards, and our team met ahead of time. And I asked the team to put together a board, and they had to create it, decorate it. And it was about what they were really good at and what they could own as something that they felt their identity linked to in all these various ways. So our team spent time doing this, and then we brought the 150 playmakers into the program, and we showed them our vision boards, and then we divided up based on age group, and we went through and sort of shared ours, and then they did theirs. And then they had to share theirs with all of us as well. And it was absolutely just a really sort of a moving moment for all of us, because I think what we realized as a team is how much we can influence sort of the mindset of this group. But what we learned back from them is how vulnerable and influential they are, and how much we need to step up, right, and be more involved in what builds the type of character and confidence that we want to see in the community members around us. So that's an example of this Playmakers Club. I mean, we have a lot of different events, but ultimately we took this following from the year before and tried to build on it. And it's been extremely rewarding. We've gotten a lot of emails from parents, and most are, certainly, my daughter looks up to your players. I've seen a real change in her since following your team. It's a thrill for our daughters to be able to see your players in the community downtown, and your players are always so great about taking pictures or signing an autograph, or just connecting with them in a genuine, authentic way. And it's sort of interesting. This Playmakers Club has actually kind of impacted the dads and the sons as well. And actually, one of the emails I got on the bus ride home from after we were done our national championship game was an email from a dad and a son, and they each took a paragraph of the email. I read it to the team right after, but the dad mentioned that, how refreshing it was for him to see his son out in the driveway playing basketball and wanting to be one of our players, not wanting to be LeBron James or Jason Tatum, but he's out there saying, Allie for three, Jasmine with the block, right? And he just said it was really moving to him for his son to have female role models. And then the next paragraph is the son emailing us saying, I know you fell short in that national championship game, but I believe in you and you're going to get back there. And, I'll be at those games too, right? And, I think that type of reach is what we can have. And it's a responsibility of our program and of athletics to facilitate those connections and, to build up those around us. And that's just really at the core of who we are, what Smith is about. And I think it's just playing out in this subset because we have an opportunity to impact, just obviously due to the fact that we get a lot of people at our games, and there's an opportunity for us to really utilize that and do more than just showing up and playing basketball. So these are some of the programs specific to our department and part of our basketball program, as well. And I just think that these are great things to be sharing. They're great stories to be talking about. And I think Smith is different. It's different here, and it should be different. And this is the expectation we have to uphold moving forward. And it's a great way for us to lead from the front. And I'm all about leading from the front. So, I obviously appreciate being able to tell these stories today. I look forward to the questions at the end. But I think I'm going to toss it back to Kristin and get Jasmine and Salam involved now. And Kristin, you want to lead us in this next segment? Yeah, good.
Great. Thanks, Lynn. I got to say, when we do the National Girls and Women's Sport Day Clinic every year, there is like very, very little prep in the sense of what we're asking our student athletes to do. And it's really because they're just incredible. They're great students. We know that. They're great athletes. We know that. They are incredible role models and mentors for young people. And I don't know if every school can say that, but we certainly can. And we have two of the best with us today, Jazzy and Salam from our basketball team. All these two know is winning, literally. There's not a championship outside of the national title they have not won. So we're really proud to have them with us today. We're going to ask them a few questions, and then we'll open it up here in a few minutes. But I'd like to, Lynn just sort of left off about the Playmakers Club. And it's been so fun to see all the little girls obviously running around. I know there's a lot of stories about some of you being downtown in coffee shops and kids coming up and asking for autographs, which I think is like incredibly cool and pretty unusual for Division III. Can you talk a little bit about the power of mentorship, the responsibility that kind of comes with that role that all of you have, and then how you think that fits into really the overall mission for Smith College?
Yeah, I think we're in a very unique space and opportunity to have the privilege to get to interact and connect with our community beyond just playing basketball. And the Playmakers Club allows us to do that in just a very organized and genuine way. So getting to do these clinics and getting to see these little girls run up to us after games, and just all they see is greatness out there, and being able to zoom out and see the game of basketball through their lens and see the excitement and the passion that they have kind of carries into what I think we do as a team, because now we just have a vision that goes beyond ourselves and beyond what we want to accomplish. We want to accomplish it for the community, for these little girls that we know are looking up to us. And having the Playmakers Clubs allows us to build those genuine connections on top of it too. So not only are we just helping these little girls, it's more like, I know Ruby, I know Lola, like I know these little girls by name, and I see them after every game. I give them hugs, and now there's just this bigger community that I don't think many student athletes get to have and get to experience. And I think just having a broader perspective of what you can do and how you can impact others is like the biggest takeaway from the mentorship we get to have.
I think off of that, we were obviously these little girls at one point too. So now being able to be on the flip side and give back to those little girls, like we see all of those things that they have in what we were when we were younger. So I think just being able to, like Jazzy said, build those connections, be able to meet them one-on-one, get to learn their names over the season, and just make those connections is something so honoring and such a privilege for us, because it helps fuel us. It brings us so much joy. And is just a big fuel for our season and what we get to do every day.
Thanks for that. I get the next one, this is super fun for me, by the way, just to be able to like throw questions at the two of you, like hear what you have to say. It's super fun. Can you talk to me about what your personal habits are that have contributed to your success individually? And then can you speak to the personal, like sort of collective habits of our basketball program and what you think has contributed to that success?
Yeah, I can speak to like just specific personal habits. I think, you hear the cliches of time management, prioritize, and all of that is very true. I don't think we could do what we do as a team if we don't have the organizational skills and the time management and those skills that it takes to just be a student athlete in general. But I think we take it one step further and see that there's more that goes into it. So learning about yourself and learning what's best for you and what that looks like, what meals you need to have, the sleep you need to have, what recovery looks like for you. Those are all habits that you can build once you enter this program, and that elevates you to be your best on the court, off the court, and just how you can show up for others. And I think one that we're really big on is just how we show our gratitude and appreciation for others. That kind of just not only fills the souls of other people, but it also just fills your soul and brings you to a sense of, again, just having this bigger perspective of what life is about. And I think being college students, you can kind of really limit what your world is to within yourself. But I think as a team, we really take a lot of pride in making our world a lot bigger and making those habits of just thanking the people we pass on the daily. We have a janitor in the building, Dorian. I love her to bits, and there's not a single day that goes by that I don't stop and talk to her and thank her for everything that she does for us, because it's all the little pieces that matter. So I feel like that's one of the habits that I know I'm going to take away from being here at Smith.
I think off of that too, it's just pulling people in, and like if we're, whether that's in the classroom or on the court in athletics, we're always bringing someone to the library with us. We're always getting a meal and catching up with someone. We're always on the court getting extra shots up. Like, how do we not only fuel ourselves to be better for our own individual self, but also how are we making the team and the community better by going outside of ourselves? So I think that's a big thing that we always preach and hold close to us, is how we bring others in.
All right, so I know I'm kind of like speaking to the converted, so to say, but I think generally one of the things that I love about this program and many of our programs, to be quite honest, is like we're probably more scared of being mediocre than we are of failing, right? And I've said this to you, and I've said it to Lynn a lot over the last 2 years, certainly, that so many people will come up to me, whether it's like the conference championship game or the Elite Eight game to get to the Final Four, and everyone's like, "Oh, Kristin, great year. No matter what happens, it's been so good." And I kind of like, people probably think I'm really rude or unbalanced, or maybe all those things, because it's just like, no, it's actually not okay. There's a higher expectation. My question is, you know, a lot of people wouldn't kind of put themselves out there, right? Like they don't want to risk, honestly, I think, sort of that feeling or being able to manage, like, what if it doesn't happen in big moments? I think you two and the rest of your team certainly have been doing that repeatedly, not just even one time. And so what do you think it's all about in terms of your ability to show up in big moments for each other, for yourselves, and even when maybe that big moment doesn't go the way you want, like you come right back the next day and you do it again? What is that mindset that lets you show up that way?
I can start. I think it's honestly why we came to Smith is because it's part of our DNA. Like Coach Lynn is the biggest recruiter, and like you can see her competitiveness edge come through the second you meet her. And that is just something we all want to be a part of because we equally have that competitive nature. So I think our ability to be bold enough to know there's going to be a risk in losing this game, but we want it. We want to put it all out there. We want to have nothing held back at the end of the day and be able to know that we're going to fight for it all and be there, win or lose. But obviously we want to win. That's the main goal and that's our priority, but just being fully embraced in that and knowing that this is what we're not going to hide from it. We're not going to run from it. We're going to be bold in how we attack it. And we're just going to give it all we have. And I think that's what the community of Smith, within our athletics, within our coaches, they just fuel us on that. So there's never an, oh no, what if this happens? It's always full confidence to just attack it head on.
Yeah, I think also going off of that, we've kind of built into our culture of like, we're not just happy to be here. Like we've worked really, really hard from beginning to end to get here. We've put in hours of just practice, kind of connecting with each other, building up our IQ. This isn't just something that you kind of stumble upon. You work really hard to get to this point. So when we get to these really big moments, we're not just happy to be there. We put in a lot of work to be there, and that work is what's going to get us the dub. And I think as a team, we all we love to win, but I think we really hate to lose. So when we're in those moments, I think it's a lot of, we're not losing this game. That's kind of the mindset that we have going into it. And we've had the preparation, the connection, the practice to allow us to be confident in that moment and to lean on that, even if it feels a little difficult.
Can I ask you, and this is off script, but fun. Out of the run this year, which game was the sweetest to you to win?
I have two. Bowdoin was one because obviously winning on their home court, we take a lot of pride in that and we end up playing really well there. But I think the other one was Amherst. And I think there was some personal reasons there, but also the crosstown rival of these are people we see. And just bringing, we want to be the best team in the Valley. We want to be the best team in the nation. We want to be the best in everything we do. And having that pride to take it to one of the NESCAC's best, and show them that, no, we have this game. Like we are worth the basketball is. So I think having a lot of pride in that was definitely a big win and one of my favorites. So
yeah, I agree with Salam. I think beating an SCAC team is kind of always just a little bit sweeter. I don't know what it is, but they're kind of the rival conference. But I guess to add on to that as well, Oshkosh was another rematch from last year, another really skilled and talented team. And that was something we had to prep for. But being on that stage, being like one game away from what we had said we wanted to get to the entire season, being in that moment and just pulling through and playing against someone who was playing their best, I would think also just adds to it. It wasn't just they had an off day. They showed up at their best, and our best is what got us that win. So being in that moment, being in that space with people who flew out, drove out to Virginia, seeing everyone's families there, like that is just a special moment that not a lot of athletes get to say they had, and we won. So that was a fun moment.
It was a stressful moment, Jazzy. I aged 10 years during that game, but you did win. So we're going to go with that. All right, one more question, and then we'll open it up. I think both of you are incredibly impactful leaders for your program and even within the department. I also know that there's a lot of things coming at you to manage, whether it's, I mean, Salami, you had to, and are managing a massive injury this season, and trying to lead from that role, I think is really challenging. I think you're trying to manage, teammates who aren't getting any playing time at all, but they still need to be supportive of everybody else. I'm sure that there were a lot of things that come up in terms of what people are trying to balance and manage. And so I'm love to hear from both of you about like what has been most challenging about being a leader, what's been most rewarding, and knowing that with both of those answers, it's under this umbrella, like you're honestly like you're two of the best captains I've seen. So I'd love to hear your perspectives on that.
Well, thank you, Kristen. That means a lot. I think speaking just personally, one of the biggest challenges I feel is kind of debating what the best course of action is or what the best decision is, no matter what the situation may look like. Just kind of putting a lot of thought into what path would be best and just the advice you give or the next steps in a situation. But I think we have such a good leadership group around us. We support each other, we deliberate, we talk through everything, we see all the possible paths it could go. So in that moment, it's challenging, but we've created a system to kind of take the load off in a way. And whatever path it does go, we'll figure it out. We'll see. We'll support each other. We'll kind of manage what that looks like, no matter what it is. And I mean, being captains with Salam has definitely been a huge part of that. Like having leadership is never just about one person. It's about the group that you can lead with and being able to have someone that you trust, that you love, and that will have your back. No matter the decision you do make, they'll be there to help support you through that regardless. And I guess going off of that, just the most rewarding part is, you're with people you love, you're with people you spend every day with hours and hours on end, and being able to see each person have a different level of personal growth. And I think being in the unique perspective of seeing teammates in a way other teammates probably don't get to see each other, I just get to see what that growth looks like in a bunch of different lenses, whether that's just personal life, academic, athletic. Like I just love to see who they will become and the potential that they have, and being able to see them reach that, I think, is the most rewarding part about it.
I think building off of that, Kristen and both Jazz mentioned, like, each person is going through their own things throughout the season. And I think for me, I've had the opportunity to kind of just zoom out and be able to see everybody in their own individual way from start to finish. And I think that's given me a lot more appreciation for each person and the growth they're making over the course of the season. Like, you have our first years who are just babies coming in, taking in all new information, just eyes wide open, and seeing them get to the end of the season and like have so much more grit and so much more passion and understanding of what it means to be a Smith basketball player, I think is so important and so huge for our program. And I think honestly, one of the best things I appreciate about this team is obviously doing this alongside my co-captains, Jazzy and Jane, who make this all so much easier. But then also, we truly have so much love for each other. We are sisters, we're family, like these people are going to be at my wedding. So I don't think it doesn't become that hard because you have that much love for them. And I think that's a testament to our coaches, to our athletic program, to the community. It's just love everywhere you go. And I think that's why we're able to do what we get to do. So testament to you guys all.
That's great. Thanks, you too. You give us a lot of reason to be very, very proud. So great representatives for Smith College. Couldn't be any happier you're in our uniform. Jazz, we need to hang on to you one more year.
Gotta search that rule book, Kristen.
I'm on it. All right. Well, we're Lindsay, we can open it up for questions if there's anything that people want to dive into, or you got us. We're ready to go.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for the presentation so far. And this Q&A has been so fun. Building off of that last question, we had kind of a two-part, I'm going to combine a couple. And this is related, but a little bit more specific. Tell us what you learned on the basketball team that applies to your life as a Smith student and as a future leader in your field of study. So a little bit more about what your future looks like, career aspirations. And then just as a second part, I think this was a parent who asked, how do we best prepare and support students for success in academics while pursuing their sport? So two-part there. Yeah.
I can start. I think honestly, the empowerment, having the opportunity to be on this Zoom, I think is a big confidence builder, not only for right now in athletics, but also what I can do off the court in the future. I am currently an economics and statistical data science major, and I had the opportunity to intern with the Milwaukee Bucks last summer in their front office. And I think being at Smith, it made me really empowered to be a female in this role, because I know, like, at a historically women's college, I've had the opportunity to be able to speak up and be confident in my answers. And then migrating to an NBA environment, I had those same qualities already built. So I think that just preparation of being empowered and being bold and having opportunities here at Smith that not many other athletes get to have really prepares me for whatever's to come next. And whether that's in a job or the workplace or in a relationship, I've built those skills and feel prepared to tackle that.
Yeah, going off of that, the future for me looks the pre-health track. I'm planning to be a PA and start the application cycle. And I think the medical field is just huge on teamwork. That's kind of, you're working with a team no matter where you go. And as much as we talked about what leadership and what being in pressure moments and what that looks like as a basketball player, that just is so easily transferable to at least my field, the medical field, but also just in the professional setting. No matter what, you're always going to be working with people. And I know for me, I look to be in the ER, which is a very high pressure situation. But I feel very prepared. We've been in games where we literally won with 1 second left. And I know that's a little different, life or death situation might be a little bit different, but I do understand like what pressure looks like and what it looks like to just trust the work you've had. And I think Smith athletics as a whole never shies away from what skills you're building and how that's going to transfer. The biggest one being that nothing good comes easy. You have to put in the work. You have to dedicate yourself. You have to have that discipline within yourself. And I pride ourselves in building those skills now. And I know that's going to transfer to the application cycle, knowing I am the best applicant because I put in the work to be that. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And do you have anything to add about the second part there? Just how to support you with your academics while you're in school and pursuing your sport from a family's perspective.
I can speak to just my personal experience. I know I would not be here today if it wasn't for my family. And I think the biggest thing with them was it was always support. They always had my back regardless of what aspirations I wanted. And the biggest thing was it was never zoomed into the point of one thing or the other. So I was very passionate about basketball. I knew I wanted to play at the next level, but that was never the focus. It was always still zoomed out, and you can't be one without the other. So understanding that you can apply yourself to both. You can apply those skills that you're learning in academics or in athletics to both, and just ensuring that there is a level of appreciation for what both of those aspects can bring to your life. And I think my parents did a really good job of that and helped me get here. So I think that's something I appreciated.
I think off of that too, I often come to my parents with a lot of different troubles or like problems or different moods that I'm in throughout the week, and it's ever flowing and how it changes, but I think they're always there to support me, and whether that's giving me reminders or like just supporting me through that, I think they're always ready for however emotional I'm coming to them. They're always prepared to like best handle and support me through that, and I think that's always a good reinforcement of like why I'm here and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So that zoom out, like Jazz was saying, of like what this all means is really helpful and important.
Wonderful. Thank you. We had a couple of questions coming in about how alums can best support Smith athletes. And then also just Joan has asked, how can community best support the players and coaches, and what do you need and want from us as well?
Well, it's giving day. So, you know, no, I mean, I think there's a number of ways people can support. And certainly I won't shy away from financial. I mean, I think that everything that that Lynn and the players have talked about, it takes resources, and we're competing against the top Division III schools in the country. And if you think about a place like NYU that just opened up, massive multi-million-dollar facility, the kind of money that they're getting into their programs, many of the co-ed schools, I think, that have big, and traditional fundraising arms, we are truly, really trying to catch up in that space. So the resources matter. And I think it's a great example of, women showing up and stepping up for women. And I think it's important, and I think it's a real shift in mentality when you think about development and fundraising efforts. So that's certainly one way. We lean on our alums a lot in terms of career help, whether that's advice or helping with an internship or a research opportunity. We think that we've got one of the best alum networks in the country. And so that mentoring piece and just opening doors for our current students is really, really important. And then, kind of like what I just said about Giving Day, showing up for each other. Like, it matters when people are in the stands. I think Amanda Zukoski's on this Zoom. I think I saw your name, Amanda. She showed up in Salem, Virginia, as a basketball alum and played. I have an alum on this Zoom in Tracy, first one who logged in. Like, when people show up for each other, that matters. And it matters if you do it in our gym, and it matters if you do it when we're on the road. It means a lot to us. And it sends a message that I think is just really, really powerful. You all may have some other things you want to add in.
Yeah, I think Kristin really said it well, but the way I would say that Smith is different is in the way that we follow each other and support each other, and are able to push the needle forward, right? So what's really important for my current players is to see what happens on Giving Day. It's really important for them to see that, right? They're the ones that are going to benefit from it. But it's others investing in them, and they feel that. And then when they graduate, it's their turn to look at the next generation of Smith Smithies and do the same thing. Right. And we need to be really good at that at Smith. Like that is got to be a core piece of our identity in terms of how we are different, how we do really model women showing up for each other. And, I think that our alums are, and our parents and our community, we're doing just that. But to Kristen's earlier point, obviously, I'll get right into it. I mean, we've lost to NYU two years in a row in a national championship game, right? We have got to find a way to close that gap, right? And I'm willing to work harder. I know my staff's willing to work harder. I know our players are willing to work harder. But we can only work so far as our resources will bring us. We can't go to another, recruiting event if we don't have the resources that support the intent where we have control of how hard we work, right? So, it's in that. It's also in, our alums being able to have that personal connection with our players and, help them with opportunities down the road and advise them and open doors. And, that's a big part of it as well. So, we continue to keep pushing, where we can go and how involved we can be for each other. And I think it only leads to really good things for Smith athletics and Smith community as a whole.
Oh, thank you. There's been quite a few questions that have come in, and I know we're pushing up against time, so I think we'll have time for just one more. Lynn and Kristin, this participant has asked, I've read a lot about mental health issues today of today's college students. Do you think they're more or less prevalent among college athletes?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of data that shows that I think people used to think, maybe even just as recent as like 5 years ago, that mental health was not as big of an issue for student athletes across the board, any division. And I think what they're learning or have learned is that maybe that's not the case, but the reporting of it was a lot less. I don't think there is any getting around or saying like, oh no, our students don't have mental health issues. Of course they do. I think many students do. I think where athletics, at least at Smith, can be really helpful is a proactive way to get ahead of it or to give students tools to manage it. Again, it's what I said earlier. I don't think that athletics eliminates the problem. I think it gives you tools to manage the problem. It gives you the strength to be in the mess of the problem, whether that's mental health, whether that's you're struggling academically. I mean, there's all kinds of things, right? And mental health to me falls in that same category. So I think our coaches do a really good job in terms of like providing resources. I think we try to do a good job in the department about talking about it so that just like if you have a sprained ankle, we need to get treatment for it. If you're struggling with some mental health, we need to get treatment for it. We don't want it to be a game stopper for you. We want you to stay in the game, and here's how we're going to help you do that. So do I think that getting into the gym and moving your body and being physically active and coming to cheer at a game or being responsible to a team helps with that? 100%. Does it eliminate the problem? No. But does it help? It certainly doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you all for your time today. I know it's 1 o'clock. I want to thank everybody who joined us today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.